Chopper, Whirlybird, Angel. All were names for the helicopter which represented the greatest single auxiliary development of the Korean War. The number of lives saved as a result of helicopter evacuation is a dramatic example of teamwork, coordination, and skill. And the broken terrain of the Korean countryside made the continued use of helicopters particularly successful. From the early days of the war, helicopters were used to evacuate the critically wounded to rear area medical facilities where careful and more extensive treatment could be given the wounded.
Few innovations have impacted boots on the ground as much as blades in the air. This module will reflect on early years of helicopter use, their present-day implementation, and the cutting edge of innovation. The intent is having you, the viewer, envision their future.
The helicopter has proved itself for scouting large fires at slow speed and close to the ground. It has delivered firefighters, tools, supplies, and crews from canyon bottoms to ridge tops in minutes, when travel by roads or trails required hours. Yes, the helicopter can do many jobs. That's why it's in almost constant demand on forest fires.
Troops packing machine guns to firefighters packing chainsaws have looked to the sky and the promise of helicopters for greater efficiency and effectiveness. This has fueled our imaginations and willingness to consider new strategies and tactics. While many ideas from helicopters' early years continue to this day, others have been disregarded. Why do you think some ideas have come and gone while others remain?
Another specialized use of the helicopter is the hose lay. With a hose dispensing tray, the helicopter is capable of laying up to 2,000 feet of lightweight fire hose over brush or timber-covered terrain. In this fire situation, a 10-man crew is needed to construct a fire line in an inaccessible sector. Since there is no helispot near this sector, a call goes out for a Helitack specialist to construct one. After high-level and low-level passes over the proposed site, a safe jump spot is selected. A cargo sling containing a power saw and tools is dropped. Then the crewman makes a heli-jump to reach the ground. At the pilot's get-ready signal, the Helitack crewman unfastens his safety belt, steps out on the landing gear, and readies himself for the heli-jump. At the pilot's jump signal, he steps off, lands on his feet, rolls naturally, and remains prone on the ground until the helicopter is safely away. During the time the helispot is being constructed, the helicopter may drop liquid retardant on a spot fire, or hold the fire in check until the firemen arrive.
Consider which innovations are relatively new to the use of helicopters on incidents, and what just may be around the corner. To help facilitate such thinking, let's listen in on the experiences of 4 current employees from 2 different agencies.
My name's Eric Graff. Everyone calls me Easy. I've been in fire for 13 years. I've been with Grand Canyon Helitack for 10 of those 13 years. Before that, originally grew up in Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming. Did BLM engines and fuels crew back there. Currently, I'm the lead Helitack and a paramedic for the park. I've been a paramedic for almost 4 years now.
My name's Jackie Wren. I'm from the Grand Canyon, born and raised. I've been in fire for 8 seasons, just finished my 5th season here on Grand Canyon Helitack. I love being here. I'm a paramedic and I'm getting ready to recertify, so I'm barely a 2-year medic and I plan to keep going.
Largely since I've been working with them since 2005, it's been the increase in capabilities for medevacs and extraction capabilities with some new technologies, new belly bands, and then just getting other crews, not just us, more familiar with medevacs and medical emergencies off the fire line, I think has come a long ways. And it's still got a ways to go, there's no doubt about that, but we're getting there, and it's going to provide a better product for people on the ground.
Get people to a fire faster. And then they started getting used more in the EMS aspect, where you were noticing people are getting hurt on the fires. We got to increase our safety buffer area, and we needed helicopters help get people to definitive care faster. And in order to save lives, we needed to incorporate more aircraft into the situation. So going from just EMS being able to land on a fire, we've now moved forward to having hoist ships. You have short haul capable ships such as here, and I think that's going to continue to grow. I think we're going to continue to evolve more, and we're going to see more short haul in the future. I think other agencies besides the Park Service are more so going to get involved within the fire world on supporting short haul. It's going to get a individual out quicker if there's no landing zone in sight, and it's going to get to that person to definitive care a lot faster.
This year we were on the Big Meadows fire, and we were working extraction capable helicopters while we got ordered. And the one that's documented on the Lessons Learned Center was the cardiac event there on Big Meadows, where a hot shot went down and had a cardiac event. The crews did a wonderful job starting CPR within a minute, as well as getting an AED all along the line there. Within, I believe they shocked him within 7 minutes of him collapsing. Got a pulse and respirations back, and actually came around a little bit. What our role was basically supporting. We were first thing in the morning. We flew off the heli base and into the heli spot, and myself plus another paramedic and our helicopter manager trainee ran up to the scene and helped just facilitate his transport out. We had enough area, luckily, at the heli spot to order a life flight out of Denver, and they flew directly to the fire and to the heli spot. The timeline actually worked out really well, where we litter carried the patient all the way up, and just as the life flight was landing, we transferred the patient, and the patient was to the hospital, en route to the hospital within like an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes from collapse to en route to the hospital. So, this crew, for some reason, largely because we get more opportunities than most, is always a medical ship on assignments, and it's we get a lot of practice here at the Canyon of doing medevacs and doing transitions from firework to medevac and those kinds of things.
So I have been a short haul rescuer for 4 seasons now, and my first rescue came in during my first season that I was short haul qualified. Went up to Zion National Park for an individual who was jumping across rocks and fell and actually broke his femur, had a mid-shaft femur fracture. It's on a place called Angel's Landing up in Zion National Park. And when you get up there, it can look a bit sketchy from the air. It's just this like long, thin ridge top where one side's like 1,000-foot drop off and the other side's just kind of, it's slanted, but it just teeters off a little bit, so it's not as bad. So I went up there with my spotter and pilot and confirmed that I was okay taking the short haul. We went down, we configured. We couldn't land at the site, which is what we would like to do, but we couldn't land there just given the location, and there's no way of actually putting a ship on top of Angel's Landing. They reconfigured, they took me up, they inserted me, I made sure the patient was packaged, and then they just hovered and did a little lap around, and by that time I was ready with the patient. They came back in, grabbed us both, we hooked up, and we went right down. It's a quick, easy operation. The biggest part of a short haul is the planning part, but the actual short haul itself goes really quick and really swiftly.
My name is Alexander Zamora. I'm an agent with the Office of Air and Marine. My title is Air Enforcement Agent, and I've been an agent for approximately 11 years.
Hi, my name is Eric Hughes. I'm an air interdiction agent with Department of Homeland Security, Customs Border Protection Office of Air and Marine. I've been on the agency for 5 years. I'm a pilot of both Black Hawk and WFSTAR, as well as a Hearst Master and a rescue hoist operator.
Well, particularly with medical, it's been a huge growth. Once again, some years ago when I first came on staff, pretty much all that we had available to us was landing an aircraft in the field, which we can run into all kinds of problems. Rotor strikes, belly strikes with rocks, to slight progression where we had rope. So we had Hearst Masters hooking rope up into the aircraft, deploying them out, deploying EMTs or paramedics, working with the ground agents, and then still having to land the aircraft at the safest possible area, where then we would get the patient and load them in the aircraft and fly away, to progressing even further where we would short haul long line a patient connected to the bottom of the aircraft and then flying them away, to where we are now, where we have the hoist. The hoist is just an amazing system where we can hoist an agent down, an EMT or paramedic can work on the patient, connect them to a basket, put the hoist back down and lift them both up into the aircraft, and then transit to a hospital or the nearest life flight or some kind of EMS on the ground.
When I first started working with CBP, we didn't do very many rescues at all with the helicopter platform as far as the short haul capabilities and the Hoist operations and the rescue hoist. In the last 3 years, we've amped up our program and become fully operational in both the helicopter rope suspension techniques, fries and spries, as well as the hoist, which is right above my head, for rescue hoist operations. So we're able to support a lot more people in various canyons throughout Arizona to effect a rescue.
Eric, could you explain the operations and the procedures involved with Hoist rescue operations and short haul?
Sure. Right above us we have our fries bar, and this is a Blackhawk Lima model, UH-60. So what we would do is we would pull out the fast bar and we would connect a fast rope. It's about 55 feet in length. We would then proceed to hover right above the subject or suspect that we're either apprehending or rescuing. At that point in time, we'd come to about 20 feet. We'd send out 2 to 3 ropers, usually an EMT, on the scene to assess the situation. We would then connect them to an ARV, which is an air rescue vest, if they're mobile. If they are not mobile, then we would send down the litter, and we would connect the litter to the bottom and do a short haul to an area that we're actually able to land, pick up the subject or the suspect, and put them in the UH-60 for transport to the closest facility for medical purposes. And that would be Hoist operations, so we can rappel in or we can fast rope in through the fries bar right above our head. Usually we would rappel in an area that's taller than 50 feet. If we're unable to get the fast rope in there, we would set up a rappel system. We would go down on rappel to the area, assess the situation, and go from there for either short haul exfil or deem what's necessary. Then we have the hoist, which just came on board operationally about 2 years ago, and this last year we've used it probably 50 to 100 times for rescues here in Arizona, with countless footage inside. So this hoist here makes our job a lot easier with those taller, higher rescues. We'll send down an EMT as well as 1 or 2 other agents for tactical situations, assess the situation, and then go ahead and ascend the suspect or the subject. If we need to send down the litter, we would send down the litter as well, just depending on how bad off this customer is. A lot of times we deal with U.S. citizens that fall in canyons, break their legs, compound fractures. It's going to take 3 to 4 hours for ground agents to respond, or local EMTs, so we will drop in, usually within 15 minutes, assess the situation, send an EMT in, and rescue, and drop them off either at an ambulance or UMC, which is level 1 trauma center.
How do you think having a helicopter on an incident affects the strategies and tactics used?
Well, the strategy and tactics can only be supported by what logistically we can do, and helicopters are a large part of that, whether it's supplies or medevac capabilities or bucket support, depending on what the mission is and what the terrain and the other variables that are always constant with fireline activities. The strategy and tactics are derived from that. One thing we get recommended on through our training academy here a lot of the time is our professionalism when it comes to slowing things down when we have emergencies. And I think we can take that into the fire realm quite easily, whether it's a WUI situation or it's a medical situation or just a evolving fire. It's okay to back things off and slow things down, and even say no at times. I think that's a really big lesson that takes a long time to learn, but it can't be understated. A large part of where we get into issues when it comes to medical situations is largely with teams, and it is the difference between health spots versus medevac sites. If you look through the IHOG, you look through policy, there's no such thing as medevac sites. And we seem to argue with most teams. Some teams don't do it, but a large team came out with it after Dutch Creek as a form of mitigation, coming up with the term medevac site. And I don't know where it got started, and that's okay. But what really we focus on is it a health spot or is it not? If it's a health spot, then we can land in there all day long. Doesn't matter if it's a medical emergency or not. If it's a medevac site, we don't like that term. When I think of medevac site, it's either a health spot or in its extraction, and we're going to go short haul, capable, and possibly do a short haul. Sometimes a landing is more risky or has a higher risk than a small short haul would do, or doing the more appropriate thing a lot of the time is just approving the medevac site to a health spot and taking a crew and just taking an hour. If they think it's that close to a medevac site, it usually doesn't take too much improvement to make it a full-fledged health spot. And that's one thing we seem to battle with quite a bit. And a large part of that we don't like is the transfer of risk. We understand that the ground forces like the idea of a medevac site because it gives them a mitigation in case one of their personnel gets hurt. What we don't like is it's really it's kind of transferring that risk to the air crew, saying it's not good enough for a health spot, but in case of an emergency, you may be able to use it once. It's kind of the idea behind a medevac site. Well, now you're just taking that risk, and you're taking a little bit from the ground, but you're putting it onto the air crew, and now the air crew has to decide during an emergency situation, which a lot of people don't do, a whole lot of medevacs, they'll be a little more amped up and try to force something when it could turn catastrophic.
A significant priority for helicopters on incidents has been response to medical emergencies. Each of these emergencies differ in the extent of the injury or illness, as well as the terrain the patient is in. This has encouraged a wide range of tools to engage various situations. While the safest approach continues to be having the helicopter set down on an improved helispot, this is not always feasible and can still include risks. In response, the National Park Service has adopted the use of short-haul techniques for extraction on many of its helicopters. The Office of Air and Marine has also made widespread use of this technique throughout the rugged country of southern Arizona. As you gear up for the season, let's appreciate the remarkable tool helicopters have become, and let's envision their future through the unique capabilities they offer.